Good morning, Washington. It's Monday, the 16th of April, 2011. When I go to one of my friends' houses, she always says, I'm always pulling on my beard when I'm talking to her. I'm going, well, you know. Yesterday I took a nice long walk in the sunny, warm, beautiful weather and got my head burned. So I gotta remember, wear the damn cap. Wear the cap. Wear the cap. We're now into sunburn season. And it's not fun to get your scalp burned. It hurts. Speaking of the nice weather, in case you didn't know, in case in the Washington area you were in a shuttered room all day, it was a nice day. Look at the Washington Post. This is Monday's Washington Post today. Here you can see it. There's a couple of stories on the front page, but there's this big story about, oh gee, it was a nice day yesterday weather-wise. Spring's bright promise. And how it was, in the 70s, maybe 80 degrees, and how everyone in the Washington area went outside and enjoyed themselves. I guess it's a cutesy little story, but, is that really front page news? I realize newspapers do that. They put sometimes cutesy little things on the front page to kind of break the, instead of all this bad news on the front page of bombings in Afghanistan and stuff like that. The Post is just becoming more and more and more of a lightweight paper. It's a lightweight paper. And, the fact now that they have this big chunk at the bottom, which is just basically a table of contents of junk inside, and they're just taking that front page and there's less and less news on it. This isn't really is this really a news story? The fact that there was nice weather yesterday and everyone went out and enjoyed it. Let's put that on the front page. I don't know. Post is, I think, generally speaking, when you don't count the style section, the Post is still a pretty good paper, but it is declining. It's not getting better. It's getting worse. It's like, I just look at this awful style section. I mean, every day there's big pictures. They don't put much copy in it. The reliable source column is terrible. Look at their big scoop today. Rob Lowe was seen dining at the Palm restaurant with a couple of friends. He was wearing a black shirt, black pants, impossible dewy skin. Impossibly dewy skin. That's news. This is the goofball, nutty crap that goes in this Washington. I mean, these chicks are paid to write this crap, man. This section ought to just be blown up and started over with. Man, at least there's no Paul Farhi in it today. And then we have the Metro section. Again, big pictures. We don't have enough copy to fill the paper. I'll put some more big pictures in it. And almost no. Are there any ads at all in this? Other than they're paid obits. No, not really. And let's see, okay. And then we got the sports section, which again, they just, the only advertisers you ever see in the sports section anymore are the Nationals. There's a Nationals ad here, and then Baltimore Doctors Restore Sex Life ad, and that's it. I don't know. Poor Washington Post. At least the Monday morning Washington Post of years ago used to have a good Howard Kurtz media column or something like that. The New York, hey, Washington Post, the New York Times is cleaning your clock. The New York Times has become even the Wall Street Journal has news in it. It's full of it. You're full of it in another manner, Washington Post. Oh, wow. Interesting. I'm no different than anybody else in the radio business. We all pay attention to ratings. They come out weekly now, and we run them. And Hot 99.5 is third, and Waymo is second, and TOP is first, and PGC is slumping and going. It's down at 12th or 13th or whatever. And the ratings. You know what? And you gotta every now and then you get this click stop of reality. Freeze frame of reality. And the reality is that ratings really don't matter. What matters is ad revenue. And once a year, we get the ad revenue numbers for the Washington market. That's what a radio station's key business is to make money. not necessarily to get the most amount of people listening. Yeah, it's great to brag we have the most amount of listeners, but if you're not making money with those listeners, it doesn't matter. You can have a lot of listeners, and if your station is not getting ads, it's not going to have a format for very long. So we get we're getting the trickle out. Okay, yeah, I haven't seen all the numbers yet, and whatever. But we know WTOP far and away was the top billing ad revenue station last year, and that's really great. The other problem with TOP though is that they have a hugely expensive station. So you're doing a news format with this big staff of people. You have a full one of the best news departments in the Washington market, radio, television, newspapers, internet, whatever. They have one of the top, and that's expensive. So a lot of that $64 million of ad revenue is going to just support that big news department. So you kind of wonder how much of that money is really profit, and we don't know. That's an internal thing. But the interesting thing is the second highest billing station in the Washington market, according to some of my sources, is PGC. Urban Contemporary WPGC. Now, PGC's ratings in the last year have been pretty there are many weeks where PGC is not in the top 10. And yet they're the second highest billing station in the market. They build about $19 million, which is a far cry from TOP, but they're still the second highest billing station in the market, which means that advertisers like PGC, even though their ratings aren't so hot. So you have to say to yourself, okay, so we have this battle between Hot 99.5 and PGC and Fresh. And Fresh and Hot 99.5 in the contemporary hit arena are winning the battle, but PGC is coming up third. But yet PGC is selling a hell of a lot more ads and making a lot more money than either of those other two stations are doing. So you got to say to yourself, wait a minute, is there going to be a format flip at PGC? Is CBS going to do something drastic? They're probably not, even though their ratings are slumping. Now that Donnie Simpson's gone, now that Big Tigger's gone. Their ratings aren't doing very well, but their station still makes money. And you got to say to yourself, that's what the radio business, commercial radio business is. It's appealing to advertisers. If you can get a small segment of advertisers, you can get a small segment of the audience that advertisers really, really want, you can make a lot of money with your radio stations, the hell with the overall general numbers. And that's why stations like WFED, Bob Hubbard along with WTOP runs WFED, Federal News Radio, and they get no ratings. You look at their ratings, they're 40th for WFED, 1500 AM and 820 AM. But yet, I haven't seen the billing numbers this year yet, but the station does actually bill quite well because it gets a lot of those, it get the targets, that niche that a lot of defense contractors and advocacy advertisers want on Capitol Hill. And if you get that niche, even though it's a tiny little niche, they'll spend a lot of money, drop a lot of bucks on your station. That's why a lot of Capitol Hill news organizations like Roll Call and Politico and Bloomberg News do very, very, very well, rolling the money. Their audience, is tiny. I would say most people in the Washington market have never even seen Roll Call, as a newspaper. Probably don't even visit their website, just other than the politicos inside the Beltway. But yet it probably makes a lot of money because that's getting that huge chunk of advocacy ads that, a lot of these, PACs and defense contractors and various groups like that are willing to spend to reach those tiny little audience of, Capitol Hill politicos. So interesting there. We also hear that WTEM also, ESPN 980 was in the top 5 of the revenue producers. And again, their ratings, 16th, 17th in the market, but yet they have the Redskins. It's owned by Dan Snyder, owns the Redskins. He has his team on his station. And because of the Redskins being on WTEM, that's a huge chunk of change. Advertisers want to be on those Redskins radio broadcasts, And so that makes WTEM one of the top 5 ad billing revenue stations in the market, even though, in the beauty contest radio ratings, it's 17th. So interesting put into perspective. Even though we do run those radio ratings all the time, they're not really the ultimate important thing. And people often say that, the radio station gets pretty good ratings. Why are they dropping the format? Because of advertising. It's one of the reasons why WGMS went away. Classical WGMS It used to be at 103.5 back before WTOP took it over. It used to be one of the top-rated stations in the market, always a top 10 station, and it went away. Why? Because advertisers didn't want to advertise on it. It's skewed old. You know, and older folks basically are less susceptible to advertising. So advertisers just didn't, you know, older people basically have decided what kind of cars they like, what kind of vodka they drink, whatever. They're not going to change, and they're less susceptible to advertising, so advertisers don't want to reach them. And so even though it's a good audience, it's a sizable audience, and it's an audience that makes a lot of money probably, very good, you know, economic demos there, but still, for whatever reason, advertisers would rather go to younger people. So you see, you know, stations clamoring for small, targeted, niche audiences. So there. All right, folks, I just wanted to welcome you to the week, another wonderful week here in the Washington radio market. Best Buy is going to be closing 50 stores by mid-May, including 5 in the D.C., Baltimore, Richmond area. Alexandria, Fredericksburg, Richmond, Baltimore, and Hunt Valley. It's sad. It's sad when I go into my Best Buy. I have Best Buy here in Reston. I go in there a couple times a week and just check it out. It's like the rapidly shrinking DVD, CD section, man. Every time you go in that store, there's fewer and fewer. It's just like, it's like shrinking. It's like, I'm one of those old-fashioned guys that loves to go in a record store. You know, the old day record stores like Tower Records and Kent Mill and Penguin Feather, and just browse and look at the mountains of cool records. This is not available anymore in person. You have to go online to do that. And, it's a huge loss, I think. You know, it's something tactile about being able to touch and see things, and, you know, rather than just scrolling pages on the internet. But hey, I'm old. All right, folks, that's Dave TV for Monday, the 16th of April. Have a great week. Don't forget to help support DCRTV. We got about $3,000 more to go in our $10,000 spring fundraising campaign. Send us a few bucks. You can do it on PayPal, or you can send us a check. Just click on that support link at the top of DCRTV. Thanks for watching. Have a great week, and so there.